As third-party prequels go, this one was pretty good. It tells us how Willy Wonka first became established as a chocolatier. It is exactly the mix of magic and inventiveness that we expect from a young, ambitious Wonka. The story is a love letter to the kind of creative storytelling that Roald Dahl was so famous for. That mix of mystic wonder and magic that someone like me can never seem to get just right. One of the themes that this movie hits on that Dahl explored several times in his books was the way that those in power and or wealth tend to hold on to their power and or wealth long past what's good for either themselves or the world at large. The repeated refrain, "The greedy beat the needy," on the lips of the orphan girl Noodle summarizes the experiences of the people within the movie. The pursuit of power is seen on multiple levels in this film. Most obviously, the established chocolatiers and the gallery's gourmet have established rules to limit their own competition and employed police officers to ensure that their power remained unchecked. Below them, Mrs. Screwbit and Mr. Bleacher build in needlessly complicated rental agreements to trick travelers into deep debts that need to be worked off in the laundry service under their inn. The real-world parallels to these atrocities are too numerous to list. At every turn, those with money and or power are trying to create laws that make it illegal to challenge them. It so often feels like there's no hope and that those who are greedy are in fact just being practical. Of course, we know how the story ends. We know that Wonka himself will become powerful and wealthy and will fixate on how to keep his own power and fortune before realizing that locking himself away to protect himself had left him lonely and bitter without an heir to take care of what he had created. It has been said that you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Willy Wonka certainly lived long enough to see himself become the villain. Are those the only two choices, though? I don't think so. I think there are examples of people who managed to avoid this. In recent memory, Fred Rogers was a driving force for good right up to the end of his life. While he's not dead yet, at 66 LeVar Burton is certainly on track to die a hero. One of my son's heroes, Jack Hanna, has entered into the late stages of dementia and is cared for full-time by his wife Susie. He's had a small number of controversies in his life, but has done his best to make amends for his mistakes and do better. Despite these, he has certainly been a force for improvement in the world for the majority of the time his health has allowed. I don't think it's inevitable that great men become villains. How can we avoid going from being the Willy Wonka of this prequel to the Willy Wonka of the book? I don't know that I really have advice on that front. Look to those who have successfully done it. Look at Fred Rogers and LeVar Burton and Jack Hanna. What has driven them? Look at people closer to you that are less famous. I think of my parents, my grandmothers, my grandpa Alan, my grandpa Francis, and my grandpa Don. Look to those that have done great things from beginning to end, and always try to follow their example and teaching.